Okay, once again, guys, welcome to the wrap-up session, or excuse me, just the Monday webinar. We're not wrapping up anything. We're looking for some interesting setups and some good things that we'll have for the coming week, and we do have some pretty excellent trades for the coming week. So let's talk about what those are. As always, there's a few new details here. Once again, this is a free webinar for all, but if you'd like to learn more and trade with us and do some of the things that we're doing, you can get a 5-day free trial to our live trade group at daytradersfx.com. Just go right there and you can click on the 5-day free trial. Start right now. You can click right there. And once again as well, there's a few more details about the trading group. You can also get live one-on-one coaching sessions with me right here, and so on and so forth. So there's some good stuff in all of these places. So just make sure you stop by the website and have a look and get a free trial. We'd love to have you with us. Okay. Let's have a look at the calendar for the coming week. As you can see, it's not a heavy week of news. We've had quite a few weeks of just tons of news, especially last week. There was huge news announcements. It seemed like every couple of hours all last week. And this week things are a little more calm. We don't have anything coming out today as far as this evening. And our next news announcement will be tomorrow morning in the U.S. For consumer confidence. So that's a little bit of a mover. Definitely worth keeping an eye on, and should do pretty well there. Okay, so, and then after that we've got a couple of good announcements on Wednesday. Home sales, trade balance, all that stuff is coming up on Wednesday. So we'll be ready for some of that. And then Thursday we have durable goods, which is always a pretty good mover in the U.S. And then we've got unemployment claims, and then coming into Friday we've got quite a few announcements, but none of them are kind of massive movers. So we'll just keep an eye out for all of that coming up. So should be, there should be enough news coming out this week to get things moving, but it won't be a crazy news week like it was last week. So that's pretty good news. Okay, let's look at some of the setups that are going to hopefully be interesting this week. I'd love to say the euro dollar is one of them, and I just don't think it is. I'm going to repeat myself like I have almost every Monday for the last several weeks, which is euro dollar has nothing that I think is even remotely interesting. Is there anything on the euro dollar you see, Rob?
I sold it today, so I'm offended.
Did you really?
Personally, you just spoke evil of my trade, so you can now leave my house.
Well, I can at least see there's a nice little top there.
Yeah, and there's a weekly pivot for this week.
Oh, there we go.
It was divergent on the 1 hour time frame. Not sure if you're familiar with the 1 hour time frame.
Found it.
No, but
okay.
I sold it to last week's weekly pivot that was missed. I do believe that last week's pivot was missed. Yes.
Yes, yeah, we got a nice little miss pivot there.
So I sold it. It was great for about 5 minutes this morning.
Well,
it was terrible.
At least we have some good-looking candles there. Nice little double top. This euro dollar.
It's a terrible currency pair. Let's just be honest.
I'm like a fanatical euro dollar trader, and I just haven't been able to really take much of a trade on this thing for what feels like weeks.
Do you love
and
it
weeks.
for its inability to move, or for its inconsistency with which it does move?
Both of those things. It's a little bit of a destructive relationship that we have here, but yeah. So okay, so Rob's short euro dollar.
I'm not going great though.
I'm not in the euro dollar. Feel free to jump on. At least the risk to reward doesn't look too shabby on something like that.
I'm down 22 pips on the trade. I entered a big position at 37.12. So I am currently down multiple thousands of dollars on that trade.
Down a chunk. Well, but I think that looks pretty good though. I think there's what are we from the high?
So I'm long 40? Dollar. I'm long dollar yen and I'm short euro dollar. Yeah. So right now I'm long US dollar, not for any particular preference for that.
I think the dollar. Well, I think the dollar is going to have its day. There's one interesting thing coming up here that we'll have a look at, but that's pretty good risk to reward right there. About 70 pips to a profit target from current price, about 40 pips from the high for a stop. So that's pretty good. So we'll keep an eye on it. I'll watch this euro dollar. I'm probably not going to get into anything for a couple of days. I think this euro dollar is coiling pretty nicely, and I think there's going to be a breakout at some point. But right now it's a lot of kind of
on the charting program in my head. The euro dollar is exceptionally profitable. So I've got this like proprietary charting platform in my brain, in my head. And my positions are always positive. So
it's funny, I've never lost a trade. Ever.
No, but really, this guy I used to trade with way long ago. 9 years ago, we had this small little trading group. And he got on in the morning one morning and he says, I demo traded that one in my head. That's exactly word for word. He says, I demo traded it in my head. And I thought, that has got to be the all-time greatest quote. I demo traded it in my head.
If it's not enough to demo trade it or just trade it in your head, you demo trade it in your head.
And we're like, Ken, like you didn't actually take the position in even a demo account? And he's like, right, I just made up my mind that I liked that trade. And I want some credit for that. That's what he said. Crazy.
Somehow you can always pick the perfect tops and bottoms in your head. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's good. So, well, I think the euro dollar is a great one to demo trade in your head. So, we'll keep an eye on it. Okay, so pound dollar is getting pretty interesting now. The one thing that I, and Rob and I even talked about this earlier today, and then I've talked about this with you guys a couple of times, and that is that I'm simply waiting for just a little bit of a move higher, and I'm shorting the heck out of this pound dollar. And as I mentioned, this is going to be one of those really responsible trades where I swear I'm not using a stop loss, and I will... it's either going to hit a margin call or my profit target, one of the two. But we need to get a little bit higher because here's the thing that I'm looking at on the pound dollar. This 4-hour chart, and actually more the daily chart, is kind of a bull flag. The daily chart has a pretty good bull flag right here. If we go down to the 4-hour, we can see a little bit better that it's retraced to the 38% fib. It's finding some support, so on and so forth. Still a good long ways from the daily 200 moving average. So it's got a nice little run to come back to that. And so right now we're just kind of in this retracement mode. It's creating a nice little channel as it retraces in this daily bull flag. So if we do a little bit of measured movement and we look at this low to high right here, we can see that that's about 575 or so pips. Now, here's what I'm going to do that's probably going to be kind of irresponsible, but I'm definitely going to do it. I'm going to assume that this 165.82 low, just our recent low of this week right now, I'm going to assume that is our lowest point right here. There will probably be opportunities to get long pound dollar. I don't know if I'm going to jump into that one just yet. I would rather trade the break of that little channel before getting long, but there's probably opportunities to get long against 165.82. What I want to see happen is if this is the low, that means that this thing could go potentially up to about 170, 170.50 right in that general area to kind of play out the price projection of this daily bull flag. So what I'm going to do is if this breaks out and runs about 200 pips, I'm going to take a chance on getting into it short somewhere at or just above 168.00 short. That way, if it does play out the whole measured move, which I have no great reason other than the fact that it's really far from a lot of missed weekly pivot points and it's really far from the 200 moving average. I don't have any really excellent reason to get into it besides that, other than I think it's totally oversold because of those, overbought because of those two things. So if we can get this above 168.00, I'm short. And I'm going to have like a mental stop loss of like 250 pips. And I'm going to have a profit target of like 700 pips. So I'm going to trade this thing down into the low 160s if we get that breakout up. So it's again, it's totally and completely a bull flag on the daily chart. So we can't deny that. I would love to be short pound dollar now, but I just can't forget about that bull flag right there. So That's why I'm going to look for that breakout. We'll possibly be getting long above 16700. We're at 166.50, so above 16700, I'll be looking to potentially buy this pound dollar move up. But for the moment, I'm just more looking for shorts. I'm going to stay out of this mostly and look for those shorts. But again, we'll reassess tomorrow and the next day. When and if we break 16700, and we'll be looking for potential buy opportunities there to trade it up to 168, 168.50, somewhere in that general area. So I like that. I think that'll be a nice little opportunity. Remember, guys, any questions or any comments, just shoot them on over. I'm checking them, as you can see here, and we'll have a look at it, and I'll answer everything and make sure that I get to everyone's questions. Okay, so that's pound dollar. So we're still waiting for the big short, possibly long above 16700. Aussie dollar, so we have a nice, potential opportunity for the euro dollar to drop and maybe for the pound dollar to go up, and I don't know where that leaves this Aussie dollar. Sideways maybe, I don't know. So the one thing that I'm looking at is we kind of have a little bit of an ugly bull flag here on the 1 hour chart, even on the 4 hour charts. So I think the Aussie dollar could still have some buying potential if it breaks this bull flag. So we have a little short-term trade here. Buy the break, and I'm happy to expand this channel just a little bit here because it's a pretty small little retracement that we've seen so far. So let's keep an eye on this channel, but that's a pretty nice little bull flag. Even if it's just these two candles being the flagpole and this being the retracement, I think we're going to get a nice little opportunity to buy the Aussie dollar. There will probably be a little move around 90.40, 90.50 up into this 90.85 area. And I don't really care about that movement so much. It'll be worth keeping an eye on, trade the bull flag, all that stuff. But what I am more interested in is the fact that it looks like we have a bit of an inverted head and shoulders pattern on the daily chart. And 90.83, if we're going to be exact, is the absolute neckline of this inverted head and shoulders pattern, if in fact it does play out. So above 90.83, we are totally and completely long Aussie dollar into at least 92.50. 92.50 will be our minimum target if we break 90.85. So, and that's not super far away. It's only 50 pips away to potentially get filled on this trade. So that remains the same. That's the same as it was last week. We watched this all week last week, and it didn't do anything except for just channeled around there. So short-term trade on that 1 hour bull flag, but really the longer, bigger, better move is the break of that 90.83 up into 92.50. So good little move on that Aussie dollar, but again, we've got to wait and kind of see how it goes and see how it plays out. Now, we do have a little bit of a double bottom sitting right here with the 200 moving average overlapping and so on, and that's at about 89.35. So if we get out of this channel of 90.83 and 89.35, that little area, I think we'll have some decent movements either direction. So below this area, I'd be ready for some shorts as well, but I'm not really looking for that to get hit just yet. So again, I'll update these in the notes, and you'll be able to kind of watch and rewatch this recording to get all these levels in. But again, great little setups on Aussie dollar coming up. Now, I've just kind of probably been ignoring the yen pairs, the pound yen, euro yen, Aussie yen lately, because I haven't seen anything super obvious that I've wanted to trade. I would love to hear if Rob is looking at any of those yen pairs, because I swear I just haven't had anything to trade on those lately. But
I'm long dollar yen.
Dollar yen, I like the dollar yen. That one, we're going to talk about that one in a moment. But have you done anything on pound yen, euro yen, Aussie yen? I just haven't seen anything on those guys lately. So I'm still sitting on the sidelines with those ones. We've had definitely some great trades on those pairs, but just not doing too much with them right this moment. Okay, so sadly, our dollar CAD trade, let me check for any questions here. Okay, we got some questions. The dollar CAD trade, as you can see, has sadly been stopped out at 1 pip profit. Oh, so sad. So we got into the dollar CAD right before the weekend, and I hope some people took some profit. I didn't. It just stopped me out at +1. We got in at 110.70, long, and our profit target, as you can see, was 111.95. Well, if you look at the dollar CAD high of Friday, 111.93.5. Give me a freaking break. So it missed our profit target by 2 pips, and then went ahead right after that little miss our profit target by 2 pips and pulled back 133 pips to the current market price. So obviously that took us out at break even. It wasn't a loss, but it was definitely, there was definitely some nice little pips to be had there. We had well over 100 pips in profit on our trade, 120 pips or so, and then it just pulled back and took us out. So that was a bummer, but there's more to be had. So we'll get into that. You were in some CAD something, weren't you, Rob?
I was in a dollar Canadian short position. We sold at 11.42. We were up about 250.
11.42.
Yeah, the profit target was 1.0850. So it was a giant profit target, and that trade stopped out at break even. So we were up a lot of money on that trade, but it didn't go all the way to the profit target. So I take much, much longer term trades now, kind of like we're talking about in that course that we're teaching. I take big, long-term trades off the 4-hour charts, and I'll take, recommend, I'll say, that some of the traders who take those trades with me take some profit along the way at 100 pips. But I don't do that. I just leave the whole thing open. It's kind of all or nothing. So twice this year, once on the Euro Aussie, I was up 450, and it didn't go all the way to the 500 pip profit target, and I didn't take it. That makes me kind of stupid, I know. And then it was up 270 on the US dollar, Canadian dollar. Didn't take that. Now I've had other ones that were great, but those are my two that I was, sort of missed out on taking some of the money.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer when that happens, but I also think that it's kind of a good exercise in discipline and just letting trades run, because it's definitely awesome to take some profits when you're 100 pips up and so on. I think that's totally great, and I 100% recommend it, but likewise, if you constantly close trades out of 100 pips, you're going to miss out on the 3 and 4 and 5 and 600 pip trades that are out there. And so it's a good exercise to just hang in there. And
you got to decide what your plan is, and then whatever your plan is, you got to stick with it. And that's my plan. So I guess it would be the same as anybody who had a 30 pip profit target that started taking profit at 27 or 24 or randomly and didn't take the full 30. You would kind of look at that person and say, okay, well, take part of your profit maybe, but don't take all of it. Keep your plan in place, or change your plan.
There you go.
Because that's a slippery slope. Then you're taking 27, and then you're like, wow, that's not really happening, so I'm going to take 20. And pretty soon you're back in the same boat as all the people who don't make money trading, which is they're taking tiny wins and they're letting their losses run. And I do the opposite. I don't let the losses run, but I do let the winners run now. And this is a relatively new thing for me. After like 14 years of trading mostly short-term stuff, I've gone long-term, and I'm much, much more at peace with the whole thing.
It's so much better.
And I have 0 trades setting up right now because of that. I have 1 euro-dollar short trade, but it's not really going anywhere.
Just kind of hanging out, waiting for it. Well, you're in good company, because we have definitely shifted gears here to the long-term side of things as well. So we love the long-term trades. Okay, Alberto, you trade the euro dollar a lot. Okay, so other pairs that will give you direction on the euro dollar. We'll talk about the dollar Swiss franc in just a moment. There's a little bit of setup going on there, so we'll discuss that. But yeah, the euro dollar is a little bit directionless. There's just no way around that. So that one's going to be a little bit interesting going forward. I think that little double top there and some divergence is pretty good. So we'll see how that one plays out. Okay, so dollar CAD took us out of +1. I don't have any trades on dollar CAD that I'm currently looking at just yet. And I hope some people took some profit on that one. But I just let this thing run, and that's how we did it. Okay, so we had a bit of a, what's the safe word to say, less than savory experience with the pound Aussie and euro Aussie last week. That one was both of those were super not my favorite. They looked great, then they looked horrible, and they looked great, and then they looked horrible. The Euro Aussie was one of them. We got long Euro Aussie in two positions, 152.00, which was excellent. And you can see that thing ran up quite a bit. We had some pretty excellent profit. We had a high here of 153.65, and so those entries at that 152.00 area were super great. We were up, 130, 140, 50 pips, right around there. And then we looked for some additional entries at 153 at the break of 152.80. And that even gave us some movement there. So the Euro Aussie still did give us some stuff. 152.80 turned out to be a pretty nice little move, and we still saw 80 or so pips out of that run up, and then it finally came back down and got below. Our stops for everything were 152.00. 151.95, and so there was plenty of opportunity to take some profit or lock in some profit, or however you guys might have managed that trade. But then it finally came back down, and it's looking kind of crazy right now. So to go in line with Rob's short euro dollar, I still like short euro Aussie a lot. I think this is now good. I'm overall looking for the euro Aussie to sell off in a pretty big way, and I think there's going to be some great opportunity here. But it is getting messy. It's getting super messy. And the one thing that I'm looking at, if we look at the 4-hour chart, or excuse me, the daily chart, we have a huge head and shoulders pattern forming right here. And that's what I love. I love this huge head and shoulders pattern. We've broken out of this big rising wedge, and now it's head and shoulders pattern time. And I think we're going to see some pretty big, pretty fantastic movements. Again, we've got to get below 150 and clear 150. Below that, this thing is headed for 146, 100 probably at least. So we have at least a 400 pip trade if we break 150. But we've had a hard time with that. But this is really a perfect head and shoulders pattern, and I'm starting to look for shorts here. One of those ways that we can start entering this short is that we've got a bit of a... It's not the best bear flag that I've seen, but I think it's tradable. I think it's totally tradable. Like I said, I'm kind of expanding these a little bit as we go, because they're still kind of developing. They're in their earliest stages. But this little 1-hour bear flag on Euro Aussie, I think, is looking pretty excellent. And so I would recommend starting to look for short opportunities on Euro Aussie and trading this thing down to 150, and then hopefully we can break 150 and get nicely below that. But I think that 1-hour bear flag is going to be totally the starting point of that short on Euro Aussie. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. A little short-term trade to jump in on this one. Make no mistake about the fact that my profit target will be at least 150. So even though it's a small little bear flag on the Euro Aussie, I think it has like a 200 pip profit target potential. So that's what I'm looking at on this pair. And I'll keep you guys posted on that. The bigger trade, once again, is going to be getting an actual open below 150, which could be complicated and difficult, but I think that's what we're going to be looking for. And then quickly, pound Aussie. This pound Aussie has been all over the place. This one we just got straight up stopped out of. Just right stopped out of this thing. You can see our notes here on this pound Aussie. We had quite a bit of profit on Euro Aussie. But the pound Aussie didn't give us as much love. So our pound Aussie, we were looking at a couple of things, and we finally just got stopped out of that. But the Euro Aussie, had nearly 100 pips profit at one point, so there's plenty of time to at least lock in on that one. But the pound Aussie was a little more tricky. Now here's what I'm looking at on the pound Aussie. It's choppy as heck. This thing has been going totally sideways for 2 weeks, but it's still within the bull flag setup. This is a perfect double bottom right here on the 4-hour chart, and we have this bull flag that's now extending out like forever and ever and ever. So if it stays above 184.00, I think this will buy and head straight up nicely. I'm still looking for potentially 188.00 to get hit here. But that's all going to be dependent upon staying above 184.00. So I'm going to keep an eye on this thing. I don't have any specific entry yet. I'm not looking to trade the bounce or anything yet. We've had a strong move down, which could turn into a little bit of a bear flag. So I'm not looking to buy anything just yet. I'm going to let the market play out, see what happens, and then potentially buy this and target that upper area. Otherwise, if this does get below 18400, there may be a sell opportunity in the works here as well. So I'm going to be kind of watching both of those and seeing where both of those go, and just kind of see what happens. I really don't know what this thing's totally up to. So let's just keep an eye on that. Just know that below 18400, it could start to sell off pretty nicely, and we'll start to kind of formulate a trade around that. But if it bounces, gives us maybe a little double bottom or something at this 18400, then we'll be looking to buy that and hopefully get it up to that 18800, which would be a nice 400 pip trade. I think that's super possible. Okay, so there were a few that asked about gold, so let me just look at gold real super quick here for everyone. Gold is heading higher, and that's probably the only thing to say about it. We have a couple of missed weekly pivots below, down at 1260 and 1300. We're creeping up around 1335. I'm not in anything gold related right now, so I don't have any super interest in trading this one right now. But just keep an eye on it. It seems to be moving nicely off that double bottom at 1180. I still think gold is overall going to move down a bit, but in the shorter term, we're probably going to see some pushes higher. So just keep an eye on that. But 1340, 1350 areas should be some pretty good resistance. So if anyone's short, for example, keep an eye on those areas. If it starts getting above that, I wouldn't stay in it too much longer. And those are kind of the pairs I'm looking at. I really don't see any setups anywhere else. I said we talked about the dollar Swiss franc in relation to the euro, and it looks kind of choppy as well. The euro dollar and the dollar Swiss franc have been pretty sideways for a little while now, and so I don't really have too much of a trade setup there. But you know, in kind of agreement with Rob on his euro dollar short. We do have a pretty nice double bottom on this dollar Swiss franc that could potentially start giving us some buying opportunities. We also have a missed weekly pivot from last week that gives us a nice little target. So those two things definitely give us something to work with and kind of correlate, especially as someone was asking on the what the euro dollar might do. Are there other pairs that can give us an idea of that? And dollar Swiss franc definitely is looking ready to bounce, ready to come up and hit some of those levels. And if that happens, that just strengthens the case of the euro dollar buy that much more, the euro dollar long. So those are kind of some of the things I'm looking at. Really, again, the focus will be pound dollar. And if we can get above 16700, potentially getting long, but ultimately looking to get short just above somewhere. And again, I'm going to need to get some I'll get you guys some better specifics as this trade develops, but between 16800 and 16900, right in that 100 pip zone is where I'm going to be looking to get short for, anywhere from 500 to 700 pips. So I think there's going to be a huge profit target shorting above 16800. And then our Aussie dollar, we have that short-term bull flag, and then that longer-term move if we get above 90.35, and then watching Euro Aussie on this short-term bear flag, and ultimately trading down to 150 and through 150, hopefully. So that's where all my focus is: pound dollar, Aussie dollar, Euro Aussie is where I'm looking at everything right now. I think that's where we have some of the best setups for this week. We'll see how it goes with news and so on, but I think those are going to be our best setups this coming week. So that's where I am. That's what I'm looking at. Questions, comments, guys, send them over. I'm going to get this recording formatting and posted for everyone to see. But again, any questions, comments, I'm happy to answer anything I can. Give me just one moment. Let me get this recording going.